Buenos días, señoras y señores. Mi nombre es Bruce y es hora de hablar sobre el Grupo J de la Copa del Mundo y Argentina. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bruce Marshall. We're here to talk about Group J in the World Cup, and that means talking about Argentina. We'll get to all that in just a second. First of all, though, quick housekeeping reminders. Like always, don't forget to click that subscribe button on your screen there. That makes sure you'll have access to all of our Wager Talk TV videos just by clicking that subscribe button right there. Also, don't forget, we're on the cusp of the World Cup, starting, like we said, June 11th down in Mexico City. And up until then, we've got my special World Cup All Access packet, $149. All of my World Cup picks all the way through the July 19th final at the Meadowlands in New Jersey. My World Cup All Access pack, remember, good bargain there, great bargain at $149. Okay, let's talk about Grupo J or Group J, featuring Argentina, looking to become a back-to-back winner and would be a fourth all-time World Cup for Argentina, 1978, 86, and of course 4 years ago, 2022 in Qatar. Now, nobody has gone back-to-back in the World Cup since 1958-62 in Brazil did it. You thought winning the NBA title back-to-back was hard. How about doing it back-to-back in the World Cup? We're going over 60 years for that back in Pele's day. Though, interestingly, Pele really wasn't a factor in the 1962 World Cup due to injury. That was Garrincha's World Cup for Brazil. So just for a historical note there, Pele, though, was as a teenager sensation in 1958 in Sweden. And, of course, won it again in 1970 in Mexico City. That 4-1 over Italy. But in 62, that was Garrincha's World Cup. Nonetheless, Argentina trying to do something that hasn't been done in a long time. They have come close. After winning in 86, they got back to the final somehow in 1990. I still don't know how they did it. But they ran aground there in a very dour match against West Germany. 1-0, Argentina down to 9 men at the end, but they darn near pushed that thing into extra time. They had a great goalkeeper who came in for an injured Neri Pompido in that tournament. His name was Sergio Goycochea. They won a couple shootouts along the way. He was a great penalty kick saver, but they couldn't quite push it into extra time and penalties against West Germany in the final. They lost. Now they're going to try to do what they did 4 years ago in Qatar in that thrilling final against France, and what a run Argentina had 4 years ago. Can they do it? Can they replicate what they did in 2022? I think it's going to be pretty tough for them. First of all, Lionel Messi, of course, we have to talk about him. We always have to talk about Messi when it comes to Argentina. And before we get to that, remember, Argentina has been on a little bit of a hot streak now in these major tournaments, and Messi is now winning these things. Of course, the World Cup they've won. They've also won a couple of Copa Americas in recent years, so they are in kind of a hot streak there. But there's a little bit of an injury concern here with Messi coming into the tournament with that leg injury, and how much Lionel Scaloni, the manager, is going to use him right off the bat. We will see. One thing about a longer World Cup like this, some of these guys who are hurt, this would include Lamine Yamal out of Spain too, and Messi, you might not see them featured as much in some of these early matches, which Spain and Argentina figured to win anyway. So I wouldn't panic if we don't see Messi too much early in the tournament. He should be ready later in the event. But I think it does create some other opportunities for some prop bets here, which we'll talk about in a second. But as far as Argentina, what are we looking at as far as them? I think, like I said, it's going to be very difficult for them to go back-to-back here. The squad is aging somewhat, and they're going to face a couple of teams, Austria, Algeria in particular. We'll talk about them both in a second, who are going to run Argentina. And an aging side like Argentina, especially in the hot weather here, this could be a little bit of a problem for them keeping up. So, and especially since the defense did spring some leaks in qualifiers, it was generally a pretty good qualifying campaign. And like I said, they have been winning international tournaments lately. But the defense did spring some leaks, and they did lose some matches in the qualifiers. So I don't think it's going to be a straightforward march through for Argentina. I don't think they're going to repeat. And we will see. There are some bets here that I would like for Argentina. To reach the quarterfinal. I think it's the best bet to reach the quarterfinal plus 100. At even money, the knockout phase, if it goes the way we think, the round of 32, first knockout phase, grudge match against Uruguay, their South American neighbor. That could be a feisty match, but Argentina would be favored there. And then if they advance, good chance it could be one of the runner-ups, the runner-up from Group D, USA's group. It could be USA or Turkey, but I can see Argentina progressing all the way to the quarterfinals, where they would probably run into Portugal. And we'll talk about Portugal later in another preview. But I think that might be a bit too much for them. I think quarterfinals is probably where they end up, and that's where they stop. But to get there, you get an even money price, not too bad. Elimination at the quarters, plus 400. I think that's a interesting bigger price here for Argentina as well. Speaking about bigger prices, we talked about Messi's injury. That opens up the door for Julian Alvarez, Atletico de Madrid. Very coveted in Europe. You got a lot of suitors for him, and they've got a big price tag from Atleti. Diego Simeone does not want to lose him. He's a real live wire, and I think if Messi is not quite 100%, or if he misses some early matches, there's a good chance Alvarez becomes the top scorer for Argentina in the World Cup at a plus 300 price for that. I think that's a longer shot that I might want to take a look at. Also in the group here, one of the best bets, Argentina 1, Austria 2. You get a plus 110 on that, and I think that's as good a bet, along with Argentina making it to the quarterfinals, as we will see for Argentina. So we'll see how it goes for Argentina, trying to repeat. I don't think they get there, but we'll see what happens. This group, we mentioned Austria, and before we go further with Austria, let me just point out, I mentioned Algeria a second ago. There's going to be a grudge match at the end of this group, the final group match between Austria and Algeria. Why is it a grudge match? Well, a lot of these players, none of these players were born back when the hostilities, or sort of hostilities, began. 1982 World Cup in Spain. In group play, Algeria was in the same group as West Germany and Austria. Long story short, the final group match was West Germany and Austria. A 1-0 result for West Germany had both to advance through to the next phase at the expense of Algeria. Well, what do you know? West Germany scored early, and this match in Gijón in Spain, and Austria and West Germany spent the rest of the match just playing kickabout, back and forth, back and forth. It was a disgrace, and Algeria was the one wronged. They certainly haven't forgotten about that. We'll see what happens at the end of the group phase when those two face off. I do like Austria, though. They're very dangerous. Let's not forget, at the Euros 2 years ago, they actually finished first in their group with France and the Netherlands. And this is Ralf Rangnick, the veteran coach. But, man, these guys run. They are very fun to watch. They're finally back on the World Cup stage for the first time in 28 years. After showing very well at the Euros and looking like quite a dangerous side here. Guys finally getting their chance in the World Cup. Veteran performers. David Alaba has been at Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Marcel Sabitzer from Borussia Dortmund, one of their stars, helped them get to the Champions League final a couple of years ago. Marko Arnautovic, now at Red Star Belgrade. He was their top scorer in the qualifiers. They run, and I think they could cause Argentina some real problems. And also we got that matchup at the end with Algeria, which is going to be something to watch. What do I like here for Austria? One problem, though, if they do advance through, and I think they will as a second-place team, they probably get Spain at the top of the second round. I don't like that matchup to go out at the round of 32. It's a pretty heavy price, minus 160, 163 or so. It's a heavy price, but I think that's what's going to probably happen, unfortunately, for them. Again, that Argentina, Austria 1-2 in the group, plus 110 or so. That's a good price there for those that finish, with Austria coming in second. To finish on 6 points exactly, plus 300 for Austria. That would mean they'd have to beat, I don't know that they can beat Argentina. They might get a result out of that, but I think they can beat Algeria and Jordan at the bottom of the group. Talk about them more in a second. On 6 points exactly. Arnautovic, we talked about him as the leading scorer. 8 goals in the qualifiers, plus 200 to be the leading scorer for Austria. I think that might be a pretty good bet as well. Let's talk about Algeria, and this is going to be kind of a fun side to watch. They like to push the pace. They will be involved in some very entertaining games. That's why I think a good bet for Algeria, over 4.5 goals for the tournament, and I do expect them to advance into the knockout phase as well. Plus 110 on that. That's not a bad price for Algeria to get to move it to advance and to score over 4.5 goals. I think that's probably pretty good. To be eliminated at the round of 32, I think that's actually a good spot for them to. They'll get that far, then they'll go out minus 110. Mohamed Amora, live wire from Wolfsburg. This is a price you might want to watch. There's their leading score plus 500. That's a big price you might want to watch with Algeria. I do think they get through. Watch that match with Austria at the end of the round, and probably go out at the top of the second round, but still a chance for some prop bets there for Algeria as well. Finally, at the bottom of the group, we've got Jordan making its absolute first time in the World Cup debutante here. It's a tough group to start off with, and this side is very pragmatic. They don't push they will try to slow every game down. They will put all 11 behind the ball, so they might be a little bit frustrating to play against. I just don't think they're going to score enough, though, and I could see them being on 0 points in the group phase here, and you could get a plus 150 on them being at 0 points. I think that's probably where we go. Musa El-Tami, the scorer from Rennes, if they do score a goal, he's probably going to be the guy to score it, get a plus 350 for him as the top scorer for Jordan. They may only get 1 goal here, and that's why I think to be the lowest scoring team in the tournament, plus 1,000 there. That's a big price for Jordan to be the lowest scoring team in the tournament. You see in the crawl there at the bottom. That's another possibility for Jordan as well. We'll see. I'm looking forward to Group J in the World Cup. Okay, as always, don't forget you can click the comment box. Let me know what you're thinking. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget my special World Cup All Access Pack. Remember, $149, all my picks through the entirety of the World Cup, and that offer is good through June 11th. So until next time, more World Cup on the way. It's a goodbye from me.